So you're in Milan. Let's get to Milan now. You're in
Yeah.
Milan. What happens there? When does it really hit traction for you?
Because the model agencies in LA were like, go to Milan, they'll love you over there. And I'm like,
Yeah, but you're sleeping in parks at this point when you first get there,
sleeping
right?
in park
So when do you really hit traction while you're out there?
was a dream that of what the agencies said, that you could be working for magazines and photographers doing makeup and hair.
So you're hanging out in Milan, but you're sleeping in parks. You don't know where you're getting your money. Well, where'd you get it? Where'd you get money? Where'd you get it? How'd you
So I
survive?
was like in the parks, I had $1,500 to my name, and that included my
Uh-huh.
airport ticket, and the rest. I went there with like $600, and I was going out every night clubbing. And so I was going into the nightclubs, and I was trying to meet people to go home with at night so I didn't have to sleep in the park. And I was doing different shit I don't want to talk about on the podcast, but I was surviving shit, and I was doing stuff, and I was working the streets and like hustling, doing my thing, getting people to feed me and take care of me and sleep in their house and their beds and doing whatever I could. And those were really amazing times. And I was fearless because I was trained to do shit like that by the craziest person I'd ever met. And I was doing that. So I was at a coffee shop one morning, and I saw these models in there, these girls, these Russian girls. I was like, hey, are you models? They're like, yeah. I'm like, hey, where's your agency? Where are the agencies here? And they're like, oh, right around the corner, like five of the biggest agencies and model agencies are on the street right next to where we are. And I'm like, can you give me the names and blah, 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 blah. So I went in and walked into the model agency, and I'm like, hey, I had a ponytail, a really long bleached hair, a skateboard. I'm like, hey, I'm Jim. I'm from California. I've been scouting all these models and doing hair and makeup. Could I talk to somebody here? I don't know anyone. So this man, Luigi, came out. He was the owner of this agency called Fashion. And he's like, hello, amore, how are you? And I'm like, hey, I discovered these models in California, and I wanted to meet you, and I do makeup and hair, and I take pictures, and here's some of the pictures I've been doing. And he loved me. And he was just like, oh my God, you come in the morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'll make meetings for you to go meet magazines. So I went to meetings, and he made me meetings to go meet like the Grazia and all different magazines. And I was at an interview meeting a magazine after like the eighth meeting. And the man said to me, hey, we have studios upstairs, and one of our makeup artists didn't show up today. And we're behind, and we have models on set. Can you go up there and work right now? And then it was for a magazine called Grazia. And I ended up doing the cover that day and a 10-page fashion story doing the
Wow.
hair. And the other magazines were all in the same big, it's like Condé Nast. And started meeting people, and boom, my makeup and hair career took off. To make a long story short, I was in Milan for 19 till I was 19. So I was there 2 weeks before 15 to 19, and I was working for Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and tons of magazines, and I was going back and forth to Paris and Milan, and I had a full-on job now, and I had money, and I got my own apartment, and I was on it, and I was working pretty much every day. And when I was 19, I came back to LA, and
Well, real quick, what are you telling your parents at this point when you're 16 and 19 years old? What's happening? I mean, you got the fake passport. They got to be wondering what's going
my,
on. How was that
my
relationship like?
parents said I was leaving and I was going to Europe. And they were like, my parents, I used to do hair and makeup. My mom used to slap me around when I was a kid. She's like, stop doing that. You're not doing that. Like, what are you doing? And I didn't want to have a badge. I never thought I was a hair and makeup person ever in my life. I'm a fashion photographer. I shoot covers of every magazine. I don't really have a badge saying I'm a photographer. So I'd always live my life like I'm just a street survivor. I'm just doing shit. I'm faking shit till I make it. But I went there and I was faking it, but I really got, like, people were like, whoa, you're really good at this. And so my parents didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't tell them I was going to do makeup and hair in Milan and go be in the fashion business. I was just like, I'm out of here. And I got in a big fight and tried to justify it with my family. So I just left, and I'm like, later. And I moved away and I didn't come back. So I came back when I was 19, and I had covers of Vogue and Elle and all these magazine covers. And I got meet a hair and makeup agent in LA, and they started representing me. A week later, I was doing Farrah Fawcett, and I had a huge career. I was working with Elizabeth Taylor and Sophie Loren and Farrah and Molly Ringwald, Jeff Bridges, Kurt Russell, Nick Cage, and I was traveling between New York and LA, working with Herb Ritz and Helmut Newton and the biggest photographers in the world, and I did that for 15 years. And when I'd work with like Cindy Crawford on the beat for Bloomingdale's, I'd bring my little camera and I would take pictures behind the scenes or like in our lunch break. I started collecting all these photos. And I hid them in a box, and I didn't tell anyone I was taking pictures at that time because all the photographers I worked for would never work with me again if they knew I was taking pictures. Because back then, everybody was really competitive in the photo world. And so I had all these amazing opportunities to take pictures of these people that were my clients. So I hid all these photos, and boom, I launched as a photographer.